In our town, the morning doesn't just wake up, it whispers. People call me strange. They say I'm wasting my life feeding what others ignore. But my grandmother told me, God speaks through the things we overlook. These aren't just birds, they are messengers of a different kind of fortune. A fortune built not on magic but on trust. Because once nature begins to answer, you realize that kindness is only the beginning. Wisdom is what builds the house. But when wealth comes, eyes follow. And some eyes only see what they can take, not what they should protect. The birds know my name, do you? It started when I was small. While other kids were chasing birds away from the crops, the birds, they were chasing me. The elders tried to entice them with the finest grain, but the birds refused everyone else. They only had ears for my voice. By the time I was a man, the whispers had grown into shouts. Some called it a blessing from the ancestors. Others, they said it was something much darker. The town was divided. Fear and faith were fighting for the same piece of sky, but the birds didn't care about their politics. My grandmother told me, God doesn't speak in a way that everyone can hear. Sometimes he chooses a different kind of messenger. That morning, the village stopped laughing, because when nature chooses a side, the whole world has to listen. I thought feeding them would be easy, but one bird became 10, and 10 became hundreds. My small farm could no longer keep up. Then the migratory birds arrived. The sky was heavy with wings, and my storehouse was empty. They were hungry, and so was I. The village turned cold. A neighbor told me, even your own children one day won't eat this well. I had no words to answer him. That night, I sat alone in the dark. I was tired, I was broken. I didn't know how I could keep going, or why I even started. Then, I saw it. A crumpled note dropped by a weaver bird at my feet. It wasn't just money, it was a sign. God speaks through the things people ignore. And finally, I began to understand the language of fortune. I knew it wasn't just luck, it was a language. So I started to teach, a leaf for a seed, a small step toward a big idea. Leaves became plastic, plastic became paper. I wasn't looking for wealth yet, I was looking for understanding. I was building a network of wings. The village thought I had finally lost my mind. The birdman is collecting trash, they laughed. But wisdom often looks like madness to those who don't see the vision. I ignored the laughter, I kept records, I studied their roots, because I knew that once the lesson was learned, the classroom would change. Then it happened, not a leaf, not a scrap, but half of a promise. My heart stopped, the world went silent. The birds weren't just messengers anymore, they were partners, and the real lesson was only just beginning. I didn't rush for the money, not yet. First, I had to understand, I had to know the how and the where. I saw them lose more than they brought, notes flying away like dry leaves in the Harmattan wind. It was a problem of logistics. So I became an inventor. I started designing for the small and the swift, engineering for the sky. Tiny baskets woven from the strongest palm, secure, lightweight. Suddenly, the sky was no longer a place where things were lost. We mapped the whole town, every market stall, every compound, every window. We built a network of wings that never slept. The birds gave me the first capital, but my mind, that is what started to build the empire. Kindness opened the door, but wisdom built the house. The organization began in the sky. Every bird had a role. The crows were my eyes, the scouts who knew every corner of the market. The pigeons were the transport. Swift and silent, they moved the heavy lifting through the air, bypassing every obstacle on the ground. I wasn't just a birdman anymore. I was a naturalist, a manager of nature's finest logistics company. We had a system that never failed. But I knew the birds were just the beginning. I bought land others had abandoned. I planted trees. I started fish ponds. I was building a future that didn't depend on wings alone. The birds gave me the capital, but my wisdom was what built the warehouse. Kindness opened the door, but wisdom built the house. Yesterday, they laughed. Today, they watch in silence. The network is complete. Yesterday, I couldn't even buy Gary. Today, I am buying acres. The village has a long memory, and they don't like surprises. In the palm wine joints, the air is thick with theories. They say no man can grow this fast on his own. They say I've found a different kind of connection. They call it Yahoo. They whisper about rituals. They invent stories of gold and hidden paths. They look for darkness because the light is too simple for them to believe. Even from the pulpit, the warnings are clear. Beware of wealth without sweat, they preach. But they don't see the sweat of the wings in the sky. They call me the rich poor man, because despite the warehouses and the land, I am still just the man who wakes up with the sun to feed his friends. But rumors are like birds, they multiply. And now, the elders have called a meeting. The storm is coming. A secret is only powerful while it is hidden, but greed has sharp eyes and even sharper ears. They came like a storm, politicians looking for power, businessmen looking for profit, hunters looking for prey. The village was no longer our own. They wanted to buy the birds. They wanted to breed them. They wanted to turn a gift into a machine. They didn't understand you cannot own the wind. Then the stones started flying. The nets were cast. For the first time in my life, the birds were afraid of the ground, and they were afraid of me. The warehouses are full, but my yard is empty. I realized that my greatest treasure wasn't the gold they brought. It was the trust they gave. Trust is easily broken and hard to rebuild, but nature is waiting to see what I will do next. Wealth is a heavy burden when it costs you your soul. So I destroyed the machine. I chose my friends over my fortune. I built a place where no net could fall, a sanctuary where the sky belongs to them again. My businesses now serve the wings that gave me my start. Kindness opened the door. Wisdom built the house. But love is what keeps the door open for those who come after. Years have passed like a migration. The empire stands firm and the birds are still my neighbors. But the language is starting to change. The gift has chosen another. Nature always knows who to answer. As long as there is kindness, there will be a name to know. They asked me if I was a thief. They asked if the birds took from the pockets of others. But they didn't understand the eyes of a bird, or the heart of nature. We found what the world had forgotten. Coins lost in the river mud for generations. To the birds, it was just shiny stone. To me, it was the first brick of the house. In the market, after the crowds had gone home, the birds found the notes that had fallen into the dust. Money that was already lost to the wind, waiting for someone to give it purpose. I taught them that everything has a value. A seed for a stone, a feast for a fortune. We weren't taking, we were recycling the world's oversight. That was my first capital, not stolen but found. Kindness opened the door, and this honest gold is what let me walk through it. So remember, my child, nature never steals. It only returns what we are too busy to notice. Are you ready to see the world through their eyes? The coins weren't just treasure, they were seeds. I bought the land the village had forgotten. I saw life where others saw only dust. We planted teak for the long years and oil palm for the days ahead. The birds were my first employees, but soon we needed more hands. Suspicion began to turn into sweat. Men who once laughed now came looking for work. I wasn't just the birdman anymore. I was a builder of futures. We built the ponds, we built the mills. We created a circle that fed both the birds and the people. The empire was no longer just a dream in the sky. Even if the birds disappeared tomorrow, the wisdom would remain. Patience is a language that humans often forget. I told her, don't reach for them. Let the world come to you. She waited through the morning mist and the midday heat. She learned that nature doesn't answer a shout. It only answers a quiet heart. I watched her from the shadows. I saw her learning the hardest lesson of all, that trust is not something you build. It is something you allow to happen. Then the air changed. A single pair of wings stopped fluttering. A single heart decided to trust. In that moment, she wasn't just a girl in a village. She was part of the sky. The gift had found its new home. The birds know my name, and now they are learning hers. The covenant is secure. The connection was just the beginning. Now I told her, you must learn to lead. Nature is a partner, but wisdom is the compass. She didn't just copy my ways. She added her own color. She was designing a network that reflected her own heart, swift, bright, and full of life. We started small, a route from the mango tree to the porch, a map drawn not just in ink, but in trust. The sky was getting smaller, and our world was getting bigger. Then came the test, a red bead for a quiet song. When the pot was filled, we knew. The network wasn't just mine anymore, it was hers. I saw my own youth in her eyes. I saw the shadow of the 100 birds starting to fall over her path. The legacy was no longer a weight, it was a wing. The sky has many names, and today it has found a new one to remember. The network is growing. They say a secret can't stay hidden forever in a small town. The eyes that once watched me are now finding a new target. In the markets, they don't see a child with a friend. They see a mystery they can't control. They see that spirit returning to the village. I told her, the village has a short memory for kindness, but a long one for fear. You must walk as if the wind is your only witness. The watchers are everywhere. They are looking for a crack in the door. They are waiting for the birds to reveal a treasure they can take. Oh, but she has a quiet heart. She knows that as long as nature is her partner, the rumors of men cannot touch the sky. The birds know my name, they know hers, and together we will weather the storm. The watchers will see what trust truly looks like. First came the eyes of the village, then came the eyes of the world, machines that flew without feathers, looking for secrets they didn't deserve. They call it innovation, they call it research, but I see it for what it truly is, greed in a new skin. They want to turn our covenant into a commodity. I've seen this storm before. I know how it starts. And I know the price they are willing to pay to own what nature has given freely. I told her, Wisdom is not just about growing, it is about knowing what to defend. We are the wall between their greed and the sky. They don't understand the language of the birds. They only understand the language of numbers. But nature doesn't count. It only feels. The network is not just for fortune anymore. It is for protection. The birds know my name, and they are ready to defend hers. Fear is a shadow that grows faster than any tree. When they couldn't buy the sky, they decided to trap it. The first net fell, and the song changed to a scream. There was no safety in the branches, no peace in the clouds. Everywhere they looked, they saw the glint of metal and the reach of greed. The sky was no longer theirs. I watched the trust we built for years crumble in a single afternoon. I saw them look at me with eyes that asked, "Why did you let them in?" She didn't understand why her friends were running away. She didn't know that trust is a fragile thing. Once broken, it is harder to find than a coin in the deep river. Then came the silence, a silence louder than any storm. They chose the distance over the danger. The birds have left our side, the sky is empty, and for the first time, the birds no longer know our name. They thought they could own the sky. They thought our gift was a machine to be tuned, but we knew the heart doesn't have a price. We chose the song over the silver. We broke the baskets and burned the maps. If the sky wasn't free, it wasn't ours to share. My mentor taught me that wisdom is knowing what to protect, and today, we protect the ones who gave us our name. Nature spoke with a single voice, a voice of 1,000 wings. The intruders fled, because you cannot cage the wind when it decides to fight back. The sky is quiet again, not the silence of fear, but the peace of a new promise. The covenant is no longer about gold, it is about home. The birds know my name, they know hers, and now, my child, they are ready to learn yours. Life in the sanctuary was a song that never ended. My mentor told me, "You have learned the names of your neighbors, but the sky is larger than our village." Then came the first migration, a cloud of wings from a land we didn't know, thousands of strangers looking for a home they hadn't yet earned. They didn't know the rules, they didn't know the language of our stillness. For the first time, the sky felt crowded, and I felt small. I looked to my mentor, but he remained in the shadows of the mango tree. He knew that some names you must learn on your own. I closed my eyes, I forgot my fear. I spoke the only language that nature truly understands, a call not of the voice, but of the spirit. The stranger answered. The covenant reached across the horizon. Today the sky grew larger, and so did we. These new guests have strange ideas about home. One tried to nest in a teapot, another thinks my mentor's binoculars are a perching post. They make us laugh, for now. But then, the laughter stopped. The sky didn't look like a playground anymore. It looked like a warning. They were drawing a secret in the air, one I couldn't yet read. They weren't just flying, they were screaming without making a sound. My mentor told me nature always warns those who listen, and right now, the sky is shouting. One bird, a cheeky blue stranger, decided to lead the way. He led me through the ferns and the thorns, making sure I didn't lose his trail. He had a secret to show me. At the water's edge, the truth was waiting. The river was retreating, and the horizon was growing teeth. The birds didn't just bring their names. They brought a warning of the storm to come. The strangers are no longer strangers. They are the eyes we needed to see the danger we ignored. The storm is coming, and only the sky knows the way out. The morning chorus wasn't just noise, it was a library of stories being told all at once. I just had to learn how to open the book. I tried to speak their names, but my tongue was too heavy. They made me realize that nature's language isn't just in the throat, it's in the ears. My mentor told me, don't listen for the sound, listen for the meaning. He knew that every chirp was a compass point. Then, the notes started to become pictures, a song of a mountain, a call of a distant river. I was finally hearing the names they had for the world. I told him, the strangers are talking about a forest of fire far to the north. I wasn't just listening anymore, I was translating the sky. The ancient language is returning to our village, and this time, we are ready to answer back. The world creates a lot of noise and then it leaves behind a lot of waste, but in our village, we were about to find a new way to clean the slate. I told them, this is our home, let's make it shine. I didn't have to shout, I just had to show them the vision. I watched her turn a gift into a service. She wasn't just talking to the sky anymore, she was bringing the sky down to earth to help the people. Wings became brooms, beaks became hands. 1,000 tiny workers, moving with a rhythm that the village had never seen before. Oh, when the morning sun rose, the laughter returned. Not the laughter of mockery, but the laughter of wonder. The partnership had begun. Kindness opened the door, wisdom built the house, and today, we are finally learning how to live in it together. Our home was changing. The red earth was becoming clean, not because of a machine, but because of 1,000 helping wings. The streets began to breathe again. Every yard was a sanctuary of its own. We were no longer just living next to nature, we were working with it. I told my mentor, "The village has never looked this beautiful." He smiled and said, "That is because the village has never had this many hearts." Even the elders who were once afraid now open their doors. They see that nature isn't a threat to our ways. It is the finest part of them. Nothing was wasted. Every leaf became a seed for tomorrow's harvest. We were building a circle of life that the whole world could learn from. The sky is our partner. The earth is our home. And together we are making them shine. The sweep has only just begun. The machines are gone, but the lesson remains. We realized that our greatest wall wasn't built of stone. It was built of wings. Oh, oh, oh. The strangers brought gifts from across the horizon, seeds of flowers and fruits we had never seen. They were planting a future they had chosen to share with us. Oh, oh, oh. I told my mentor, "They are bringing the world to our doorstep." He laughed and said, "That is because they know our door is finally open." Oh, oh, oh. It wasn't work, it was a dance. Humans and birds, moving with a single rhythm. We were no longer two worlds. We were one garden. Oh, 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 oh. When the first flowers opened their eyes, the village changed forever. We had created a sanctuary, not just for them, but for all of us. Oh, 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 oh. Nature doesn't just answer a quiet heart, it lives in one. The garden is ready. Abundance is not a number, it is a feeling. The garden didn't just give us food, it gave us a new way to see the fruits of our labor. We didn't just cook a meal, we prepared a celebration, a seat for every heart, and a perch for every wing. I told the village, when we share the work, we must share the reward. And today, the reward is sweeter than any honey. There was no ours and theirs. There was only us, a community that reached from the red earth to the high clouds. We learned that nature's language is best spoken across a shared table. Trust has a flavor, and it is the flavor of peace. The covenant is full, the house is built, and today, we all eat at the same table. A gift is not a secret to be kept. It is a light to be shared. Under the mango tree, we started a new kind of school, one where the sky was our teacher. Oh, 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 oh. The birds became our hands in the high places. They brought us treasures from the canopy, things our eyes could never find on our own. Oh, 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 oh. I told them, listen to the rustle of the wings. Every feather has a story. Every stone is a word in a language we are all learning to speak. Oh, 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 oh. There was no more fear. The children and the wings moved as one. We were building a future where no name would ever be forgotten again. Oh, 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 oh. The garden wasn't just for beauty, it was for life. We learned that when we care for the sky, the earth finds its own way to bloom. Oh, 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 oh. The covenant is no longer a secret. It is a song that the whole village is starting to sing. The future is here. Oh, 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 oh.